So let's just get started, shall we? Shall we?
I love you like la 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 la.
Okay, so becoming adaptable or being adaptable, well, you have to become to be, so becoming adaptable is basically the art of just adapting to the surroundings and situations and experiences that you're living in at the moment. This concept just kind of came to me when I went to Florida, and here's why. So I'm just gonna give like a little backstory and then we'll dive right into this whole conversation. So basically, I went to Florida last week. While I was in Florida, I stayed with my aunt and my uncle and my grandma and my cousin. Like, they all live in the same house, and they're renovating their house. And like at first, like I honestly, like when, like as we were flying there, I totally forgot that they were doing this to their home. And then when we got there, I saw that there were like boxes and like tape and like tools and just stuff everywhere. And low-key, like not just with them, but anywhere wherever there's a mess, it like low-key stresses me out. And I don't like being in that kind of environment because I feel like I can't function to like my peak. Like, it can't perform at my best when I'm like surrounded by literal physical messiness. So when I got to Florida, I remembered, oh yeah, like they're renovating this house, and like that's fine, like that was totally fine, but it did kind of throw me off a little bit, in the sense that I had planned to work out that whole week. I had planned to get like the LA Fitness membership. I had planned to kind of keep up with my own schedule, like with my schedule here, but just over there. But that was hard. Like, I found I was like not inspired, I was not creative, I was not like, I didn't have the energy to go to the gym. I went one time, and I just really like didn't even have the energy or like the want to like take Instagram pictures or like none of that stuff, like content stuff. And I thought that was super weird, and I was like, why am I feeling so like out of place? And then I noticed, because I was feeling this and I was in the room, like in my grandma's room, and like there was just stuff everywhere, and I was just standing there, and I had like my things in my suitcase, they were all so a mess. Like, I was adding to the mess, and it just wasn't helping with my own internal state. And I was like, wow, I can't focus. Like, I literally just stood there and I was just staring at all this stuff around me, wasting time, first of all, and second of all, I was just like stressing. So whatever, I cleaned up what I could, which was my stuff, you know, my stuff that I could put away, I could tidy, I could kind of keep in a corner nicely and have it organized and know where everything was, and just, that was my stuff that I had control over. So I did that. I cleaned up and I kind of left my stuff there. And then I was like, okay, like what is going on right now? So I noticed, okay, my environment isn't exactly ideal. It's not like the environment that I normally am used to being around. It's not the environment I perform my best at. Okay, so I've established that, but now what? You know, like now am I just gonna like not do anything, or like what am I gonna do, you know? So that kind of just brought me to the thought of like, okay, sometimes we are put in places or situations with people or things that aren't exactly ideal, and we wouldn't have chosen them if we had a choice. And that's where you have to learn to become adaptable. So while I was standing in my grandma's room with all this stuff around me, while I was in this house for 4 days with stuff everywhere, I'm not trying to like disrespect them or like say any, like they're renovating, like it's gonna be messy, but like just for me, like that's something that I wasn't like mentally prepared for, just because I had forgotten that they were doing that. And so when I got there, it was a little bit of a surprise, but you know, we just had to roll with the punches, as they say. So that's kind of like tip number one. Like, you have to accept your surroundings, accept the situation, and accept the people you're around. And when I say accept, I don't mean settle for, because those are two completely different things. Like, you can accept things while also striving and working towards like fixing them or changing them or getting out of there. While settling for them is you're just completely like laid back, chilling, not a care in the world, like who you're with, where you are, like. And that's totally different, like, because one, you're being active and you're actively trying to get things moving and get things changing, while the second one, you're just being passive and you're just letting things kind of come and go as they please. So that's step number one. Like, you have to accept your surroundings, accept the people that you're around or that are around you, accept the situations, accept that moment that you're in. And like, for example, if it's not like the greatest thing, like sometimes, like let's say work, sometimes we're at places, like we work at places that we don't exactly like or don't want to be at anymore, or XYZ, whatever the reason. And maybe it's because of our coworkers, or maybe it's because of the work itself, or whatever it is. But let's say at that moment, you just have to keep working because you got to keep making a living, and maybe you've applied to places but they haven't called you back. So what are you gonna do? Like, I don't think the smart thing to do there is quit and then have no job and then have no income. Like, you're probably gonna still stay at this job. You just like keep working until you find another one, until someone calls you back, etc. But in the meantime, like while you're in this place, you're still like, you still have to deal with these people, you still have to deal with the work itself, you still have to bring yourself to wake up every day and like drive over to this place of work, and like you still have to bring yourself to do the work. So in that moment, because like I completely understand, where there's no passion, like there's no drive, where there's no like genuine strong feelings towards the activity or the sport or the topic or whatever it is that you're kind of like focusing on, like it's hard to actually want to do it or to even mediocrely get it done. I understand. But that's where tip number 2 comes in, and that is your attitude. Like, you gotta fix the tude, my dudes, you know? Like, you can be completely miserable at a job that you hate, at a place you don't want to be, surrounded by people you don't want to be with. That's your choice, you know? But it's really just gonna suck for you. Anyways, you gotta check your attitude, because your attitude is very dependent on how you work, on how well you like carry yourself, on so many things like stem from how you carry yourself and how you show up to the world, basically how you present yourself. Okay, so for example, for tip number 2, that's tip number 2 is your attitude. Like, you got to check your attitude, how you show up, how you carry yourself, how you present yourself to the world, to the people around you, to the places around you, to the experiences in life around you, and to yourself. Because if you show up with a crappy attitude, with a negative attitude, with like just this whole like down mood, and you can feel that, like your energy like radiates, you know, like a pool, like a puddle, it just waves, you know, it radiates to those around you. And you can feel, like when you walk in a room, you can feel the tension sometimes. You can feel when like someone's a little annoyed, or when someone's like upset or angry or whatever it is. You can just feel it in the air. So trust me when I say people can feel your energy whether you want them to or not. Like, that's just what you're emitting at that moment. So let's say you're working at a job that you don't like, or let's say you don't like your coworkers, whatever the case may be. That's not exactly like motivation for you to get up like super early and like get ready and like be excited to go to work. Ideally, like that's not the motivation. However, the motivation is you gotta make a living, like you gotta make some money, so you go for the money. I understand. However, you can be doing that and be miserable at the same time. So yeah, you can be making money, but you can be like miserable the whole day. And like, that's no way to live. Like, who the heck wants to live like that? Like, no, like that's just, no. We're all people, we're all human, we all have stuff going on in our lives at any given moment. However, it's the attitude that you show up with to these situations, to these circumstances going on in your life. Like, that is the most important thing, and that is what's going to determine how you handle things, how you get through these situations. And if you have a miserable, stinky, crabby attitude, you're just going to make your life 10 times worse than it is. However, if you have a different attitude and you're focused on the good stuff, on your blessings, on what you have left, on not who left but who stayed, on like your job, your education, your like clothing, your food, a house. Like, we all have so many different things to be grateful and thankful for, that it amazes me how much we tend to focus on all the negative stuff. Like, we just zone in like freaking horses on all these negative things when we have all these amazing blessings around us. Like, at any given moment, name 3 things that you're grateful for right now. Like, say them out loud. Literally anything that is going good in your life, that is what you have to focus on, and that is what you have to, like, basically cling to as you get through, like, this not so great situation or circumstance of your life. Attitude is the most important thing. It will determine how you get through the tough parts of life, hands down. That's all solely in your control. Your perspective, your mindset, like how you choose to view your outside world, that's all on you. Like, you choose how to treat other people, you choose how to show up, you choose how to carry yourself, you choose what you say to yourself, you choose your thoughts, you choose your actions, you choose how to spend your time, your money, you choose absolutely everything. And so kind of bringing it back to like point 1, where it was, first you have to accept, okay, like I'm accepting this. Second, your attitude. Check your attitude. Like, am I being like crabby about this, or am I kind of focusing on like the good stuff right now? And that's something that you might have to just sit with yourself and think about, and maybe even write things out, maybe like talk to someone about it, whatever it is. But like, you have to get it out there and you have to make it known and present in your own mind so that you're able to actually live it out in that moment. And then that just kind of leads me to tip number 3, which is adapt. So adapting basically is kind of taking shape, like taking form, like kind of molding yourself, being flexible to the space, situation, circumstance, people, etc. around you or that you're in. And that, to me, like, I feel like that's the hardest part. Well, it's between that and your attitude, because they can both be pretty tricky. But like molding yourself, like kind of like being flexible and just going with the flow while still controlling what you can. And that's another important aspect. Like, for example, in Florida, like, I had this mess and like I was contributing to the mess with my own stuff. So that's what I could control. I can't control the renovations. I can't control like my aunt and uncle's furniture, but I can control the suitcase and my clothes and my shoes and the belongings that I brought. So I packed it up, I kind of like organized it, and I put it away. And that gave me a sense of control and of organization and like of control, basically. Like, I was like, okay, this is my little corner with my things. That's it, okay? Like, that's all I gotta worry about, and like me. Kind of be flexible and be able to mold and move yourself into these circumstances that you're in. Because if you stay like super resistant, you're just gonna make yourself stuck in whatever like you're in, and like you're not gonna really move, you're not gonna progress anywhere just by like not deciding not to move, or by deciding that you're not gonna change, or by deciding that no, like this is the attitude I have and I don't have a different one. Like, if it's stuff that you can control, literally anything from the most simplest, like even the most simplest thing, if you can control it, it will give you a sense of control. It'll give you a sense of satisfaction and of like, okay, like I got this. Like, it'll just reassure you that like you got this. And it might not change a whole lot, but it'll change something inside of you. It'll start changing your attitude and your perspective on things. And if you can do those 2 things, then you can start to somewhat mold and move and be flexible to your surroundings, to your situation, to your circumstance. And I am in no way saying that you have to stay there, or that you have to be flexible enough to stay there. No, what I'm saying is become flexible in the process of trying to get somewhere else. So let's say, again, to the job, like, let's say you're trying to get a new job, but in the meantime you have to keep working at the one that you have in order to keep making a living. And if that's the case, I advise you not to go there miserable, not to show up every day miserable, because that's just going to be so much worse for you and for the people around you. And like, you're just going to make it harder for yourself, and just harder to do the work, and just harder in general in every aspect. So, okay, great, like, it's a job, you want to change your job, great, that's fine, totally understandable. And you can do that, but in the meantime, like, be applying, be updating your resume, be talking to people, networking, getting to know people, while also showing up to your work, like, with a good attitude, show up on time, do the work well, make sure you're putting your best foot forward in this place that you don't want to be. And I feel like there's so much growth and like self-growth in that, where like you're deciding, like you're consciously and actively deciding to show up and be your best, even in places and situations that you don't want to be in anymore, even with people that you don't want to be with anymore. Like if you're still kind to them and you still show love and compassion and understanding towards these people, it just shows like you're like that much of like the bigger person, and that just speaks so highly of you, because you're able to control these situations, these factors in your life. Like you're able to control your thoughts and your words and how you treat other people and how you behave and how you move and how you just, your essence, you're able to control that. Like you don't let yourself be controlled by your surroundings, by your external surroundings, by your circumstances, or by people around you. Like you don't let it affect you so deeply that you turn miserable because of XYZ around you. There's so much power and respect in that you control your internal state regardless of your external state. Like that is just amazing. Like you don't let your external state dictate your internal state. And if you're able to control how you are internally, you're able to do so many things, and you're able to put up with rude people, you're able to navigate tough situations. And like that doesn't mean that you should tolerate those things, absolutely not, but you are able to kind of put a stop to it, assess, move forward with like a plan, and then get out of there. Like what better thing? So in order to become adaptable, you need to accept your surroundings, check your attitude, and adapt. Is there another word for adapt? Let me see. Adapt, synonym. Ooh, adjust. Like you have to deal the cards that you're dealt. And I freaking love that quote. Oh my god, I gotta find it. Hold on. Because so it says, ready? It says, you don't have a right to the cards you believe you should have been dealt, but you have an obligation to play the hell out of the ones you're holding. And that is just such a powerful freaking message, because it just straight up says like, look, you don't have a choice sometimes. Sometimes you're just thrown into the deep end. Like life will just throw things at you that you are not prepared for, or that you don't want, or like whatever. But you essentially just have two choices, you know? And like it says here, you have that obligation to play a freaking hell of a game with the cards that you're dealt. And that, to me, is basically just make the best out of what you got. That's it. Like, if you're able to roll with the punches while still punch back, I don't know if that made sense, but it kind of makes sense in my head, then you'll be golden. You know, you'll be able to get through anything. You'll be able to do just fine. So yeah, so that's a wrap on this little video. CarChat number 2. I'm really excited about it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys were able to take something away from it and able to apply it to your life. And I hope everyone has a splendid day and a splendid week whenever you are watching this. And I will see you in the next CarChat. You are capable of changing the narrative of your frickin' story.
I love you like la la la.